Hello, everybody. So last week I was talking about what to eat, and whole foods was at the top of the list. So the issue, though, that often comes up with those that are chronically ill is how do I stick to a whole foods diet when I'm suffering from health issues, unexplained symptoms, energy issues, and so on. So today I'm just going to discuss some of the easiest and most practical ways to eat a whole foods diet and minimally processed diet, so as to optimize your health and start feeling better. So the first way of doing this is to eat smoothies or drink smoothies. So obviously smoothies are a relatively easy and nutritious way to kind of to either start your day. I mean, they're typically used as a breakfast meal, but they don't have to be. So, they're just so easy to digest because everything has already been ground up. But, you still need to chew, or maybe not fully chew, but you still need to think about mixing the smoothie, any kind of liquefied food, same with soups and things, with the salivary enzymes, okay? Now, the way to do it, which is, I think, pretty easy and easy to remember and easy to access the ingredients, is to choose a plant-based milk. Maybe even add in some extra plant-based yogurt if, to make it thicker. So I use coconut milk and yogurt, but you could also use almond if you preferred. Now, I typically will add a half an avocado because it not only makes it thicker, but it adds that lovely good fat component. So I'm a big fan of adding avocado to a smoothie. Then you need protein powder because you want to make sure that you've got protein in every meal, really. Now, you can choose which protein powder you like the best. I prefer a collagen powder, but you can also, particularly if you're vegetarian or you don't like collagen powder, you could use maybe a hemp seed powder or maybe a pea powder. But I would steer clear of whey and possibly some of the powders that have high contents of grains that are, all kind of rice and quinoa powders. Um, then you want to chuck in some low GI fruit, typically frozen because it just works better with the consistency of the smoothie. My favorite are berries, really great antioxidant rich food, gives it a great color. You can kind of rotate between different berries if you like, or you can just use mixed. But yeah, just kind of low GI, low sugar. You don't want to go too crazy with the fruit. And that's kind of it. Away you go. You can add other things, but that's a really good base for any smoothie. Now, I also tend to add all of my supplements in there. So if you have any supplements that you take on a regular basis, the great thing about a smoothie is that you can get powdered forms or you can crack the capsule, and then you can put all of that into your smoothie so that you don't have to take so many capsules during the day. Now, the biggest gripe my clients have with the idea of smoothies is that they don't want to drink their meals. So what you can do if that you relate to that and you don't want to drink your meals is to switch to a smoothie bowl. So you move from a smoothie in a cup through a straw to a smoothie basically in a bowl with some toppings. Okay, so all you need to do in order to change it to a smoothie bowl is to remove a little bit of milk. Just use a little bit less milk in the recipe so that it's a lot thicker. So that's what will make up the smoothie base in the bowl. And then you can add some yummy toppings. And my favorites in terms of toppings would be things like goji berries, cacao nibs, hemp seeds, and I love the baked coconut flakes with cinnamon. And I actually have a recipe for those and for the smoothie bowl and for the smoothie in my recipe ebook on my website if you're interested. Now, the second way that you can, kind of adapt when you have low energy or pain or whatever it is that's preventing you from cooking as normal is to use what I call one pan meals. Okay, so I love one pan meals. They're so easy, so delicious, and they require really minimal prep. So a couple of examples. I mean, there's many examples, but a couple that I would say are, getting a fry pan, putting it on a cooktop, maybe throw in a couple of eggs if you tolerate eggs. If you've relaxed your kind of anti-inflammatory diet a little bit and you can include something like tofu or tempeh, you could put some tofu or tempeh in, maybe a small fillet of wild-caught salmon, and then you add in some kind of no-prep veggies. So things, my favorites are broccolini, button mushrooms, and cherry tomatoes. So that would be a fabulous breakfast, really any meal. I mean, if you put the salmon in, that can really be anything, right? I typically use it as a breakfast on the weekend. And then you would just finish it off with seasoning. So the seasoning really makes a difference, the salt and pepper. Now, if you're feeling a little bit more energetic and you have a little bit more time on your hands, then you could add other vegetables that maybe require a little bit more prep. So things like zucchini slices or kale chips, something like that. And the last thing I mention on that is just make sure you're not using oils that easily oxidize at heat, right? So things like extra virgin olive oil, you just need to be careful using that at high heat, right? It would be better to use something like a coconut oil or an avocado oil. Okay, now the next option would be to use a kind of pre-chopped salad or stir fry. So, salad is one of my favorite things to eat. I probably have it, most 90% of the time for my lunches. And the issue, though, is when you are fatigued or in pain, it's not a great option typically because it does take a huge amount of time to make a really good salad, right? So what you can do is, well, the first thing you can do is you can bulk prep your food once a week so that you've already got kind of individual containers with different vegetables, maybe carrot sticks and tomatoes already chopped or whatever it is that you're using. And then you can just, you've got that ready to go for the rest of the week. You can also use, in terms of the proteins, you can use things that, so you don't have to chop up actual fresh protein. So things like little cans of wild-caught salmon, that's what I prefer to use. You could maybe throw in some tempeh since it's very easy to prep. For stir fries, I like to use sauces that are kind of already made so I don't have to chop a lot of things. So there's this amazing coconut aminos sauce that already has garlic, ginger, and chili infused in it. So I find that really helpful. You could add in some bone broth for flavor and for some added protein. That doesn't require any energy or prep. And the second option, if you really don't even have the energy to do that the prep of the vegetables once a week, is to buy pre-chopped salads or stir-fry veggies from the supermarket. So now, if I was talking to someone that was completely healthy, didn't have any symptoms, then this is not what I would be suggesting. But in a situation where you are lacking in energy, then definitely I think this is a good option and is much better than buying heavily processed foods. Okay, next option or next suggestion is around animal protein. So it's often kind of time consuming to prep and cook animal protein. So my favorite ways to avoid that effort on days that I'm feeling particularly lacking in energy is to buy chicken breasts that still have the skin on, so like bone and skin. You can buy those from farms around the country. You don't have to do anything to it. If you have the bone and the skin, you literally just put it into a fry pan that is, relatively deep, not a really, flat one that is a little bit deeper, has higher sides, and you just put it in with lots of coconut oil, and you just let it sit. You let it cook with a lid on, medium to low heat, just say, until one side is brown, and then you can flip it and wait till that side is brown. Sometimes it takes maybe 15-20 minutes for that to work, but you don't have to stand there and watch it and do anything. So it's a great option if you are lacking in energy, and really yummy. It turns out really yummy. The other option, I think, with animal protein is to buy mincemeat. So, you don't have to do anything with mincemeat. You literally just throw it into the pan, maybe kind of mash it up a little bit so that it all cooks evenly. But you don't really need to do anything. There's no prep. So they would be my two biggest suggestions for easy animal protein. In terms of snacks, so I would say nuts are my go-to snack because they're nutritious and they require no prep. So the only thing you need to be thinking about, though, is, are you digesting those nuts properly? So one thing is just making sure that you're actually chewing the nuts, appropriately and fully, so that you're giving yourself the best chance to digest them properly. But the other thing is that you could buy already soaked nuts, so soaked and dried nuts. So they're called activated nuts a lot of the time. They're a little bit more expensive. You can do it yourself at home, but obviously with the energy issues, that's probably not the best idea. So I would suggest buying them. Another favorite of mine would be just coconut yogurt with maybe some seeds or some berries or something like that. In terms of coconut yogurt, if you're buying it, you really should try and stick to a natural flavor so that you're not getting any of the sweeteners and emulsifiers, or not as many at least. You want to buy a brand that has a high number of probiotic colonies in order to, improve your gut health and the microbiome. My favorite brand is Koyo Natural, but I'm sure there are other options on the market as well. Snacks. Hummus and seed crackers is another favorite of mine. So if you're okay with chickpeas, then you can just buy certain brands at the supermarket. You just need to check the ingredients list and make sure that it has minimal ingredients. So you don't want to pick one that has lots of different additives and things like that. Okay. So you can do that, and then you can also buy seed crackers at the supermarket. I like the brand Olena's, however you pronounce it. It's just seeds, maybe some psyllium husk and salt, but nothing bad. So that makes it a lot easier. You could also make carrot sticks at home if you didn't want to use the seed crackers all the time. You can also make artichoke hummus at home if you don't tolerate a lot of chickpeas. Obviously, that's a little bit more time consuming and takes more energy. But I do have a great recipe in my ebook online if you want to check that out. And then lastly, I think store-bought soups also have a place when you are lacking in energy. So they're definitely not something that I would typically suggest, again, to a healthy person. I would be telling them to cook their own soups, but they're great to have in the cupboard for those days that you literally don't have the time or the energy to cook, and especially to kind of do all that prep and stand up and stir and things like that. So just make sure that you're choosing one of the pouches rather than a can. So I brought the one that I like. So Heart and Soul is the brand that I like. I only found these guys recently. The reason I like them is because, the pouches, they're a lot more fresh compared to a can. They're much lower in sodium, often lower in sugar. And this particular brand, I don't know if it's all of their soups or it's just one particular range, but I find that they have absolutely no additives or preservatives. So if you look at the ingredients list on this packet, it really just has coconut milk, various different types of legumes, and specific spices like cumin, coriander, cardamom, turmeric, garlic. But there is literally no, every ingredient is a food. There are no numbers, there are no additives. Okay, so that's why I kind of like having these in the cupboard for those days where, you really don't have the energy to be making meals. So yeah, so they're my biggest tips for how to stick to a whole foods diet if you are struggling with chronic illness and energy issues. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.